The courtroom goes still when the man lifts his sleeve. Dark bruises bloom beneath the fluorescent lights. Across from him, his ex-girlfriend smirks like this is all a joke. Judge Judy leans forward, eyes sharp, voice calm, until one sentence changes everything. A baseball bat, a locked door, and a story that does not add up. So why does the man look more afraid now than when he was attacked? The sleeve is still rolled up when the courtroom settles, not because anyone asked, but because everyone is already looking. Judge Judy does not speak right away. She rarely does when something real enters the room. Her eyes move first, calm and precise, tracing the dark bruises that climb the man's forearm like fingerprints left by anger, purple fading into yellow, old enough to ache, new enough to matter. The man stands stiffly, shoulders locked, as if lowering his arm might somehow undo what it revealed. He looks smaller than he did moments ago, not weak, guarded. The kind of posture people adopt after learning that silence is safer than honesty. Across from him, his ex-girlfriend exhales sharply and rolls her eyes. It is not subtle, it is not nervous, it is dismissive, like the evidence is an inconvenience rather than an accusation. Judge Judy leans forward. "Sir," she says evenly, "tell me what happened." The man clears his throat. The sound echoes too loudly in the quiet room. He explains that they argued late at night, that it escalated faster than he expected, that at some point she picked up a baseball bat from the corner of the room. He does not dramatize it. He does not raise his voice. He just states it, fact after fact, like someone reciting something they have replayed in their head far too many times. He says he tried to leave. He says the door was locked. The woman scoffs before he finishes. "Oh, please," she says. "That is not how it happened." Judge Judy lifts a finger, not sharply, just enough. "You will have your turn," she says. The room obeys instantly. The man continues, describing the swing that caught his arm instead of his ribs, the way pain bloomed before fear, the way he remembers thinking, absurdly, about how loud the bat sounded when it hit flesh. Judge Judy watches him closely now. Not the bruises. Him, his breathing, the way his eyes drop when he mentions the bat. "And where," she asks, "did the bat come from?" The question is simple. Too simple. The man hesitates. It is brief, barely a pause, but it lands heavier than the bat ever did. His jaw tightens. He swallows. For the first time since speaking, he looks unsure of his own answer. The woman notices. Her smirk sharpens. "It was mine," she says quickly. "For protection." He knew that. Judge Judy does not look at her. She is still watching him. "You hesitated," Judge Judy says, not accusing, observing. "Why?" The man opens his mouth, closes it, then finally answers that it was already out, that it was not something she grabbed in panic, that it was waiting. The courtroom shifts, a murmur ripples and dies. Judge Judy leans back slightly, eyes narrowing just enough to signal interest, not judgment. "And who," she asks calmly, "locked the door?" The man's gaze flicks up, startled, then away again. The woman's smile freezes. The bruises have spoken. Now the silence is about to. She does not wait to be invited to stand. She rises like this is her stage. The chair scrapes back just a little too hard, a sound that cuts through the lingering silence. Her posture is relaxed, almost theatrical. Shoulders back, chin lifted, lips curved in a knowing smile. If confidence were evidence, she would have already won. Judge Judy watches without interruption. The woman begins speaking before the question finishes forming. She talks fast, fluid, practiced. This is not her first defense. She describes herself as cornered, provoked, tired of being painted as the bad one. Her hands move as she speaks, slicing the air, punctuating every sentence with certainty. "He was yelling," she says. "He would not let it go. I felt threatened." She shrugs, casual, almost bored. "The bat was there because I live alone. A woman has to protect herself." A few heads in the audience nod. Not in agreement, in recognition of the performance. Judge Judy allows it to continue. This is deliberate. When people feel safe, they reveal more than they intend. The woman keeps going. She explains how she warned him, how she told him to leave, how the swing was not meant to connect, just to scare him. Her voice lifts at the end of each sentence like she expects approval. Across the room, the man stares at the floor. His hands are clenched now, knuckles pale. He does not interrupt. He has learned that interruptions make things worse. Judge Judy finally speaks. "You are very comfortable talking," she says calmly. The woman smiles wider. "Because I am telling the truth." Judge Judy nods once, not agreement, permission. "Let's talk about timing," she says. "You say you felt threatened. At what point did you retrieve the bat?" The woman does not hesitate. "Before. I always keep it nearby." Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. "Nearby where?" "By the door, in case something happens." The answer is fast. Too fast. Judge Judy's pen taps once against the desk, a soft sound, but the woman hears it. She shifts her weight. "So," Judge Judy continues, "you keep a bat near the exit, yet you claim you wanted him to leave." "Yes," the woman snaps. "That is exactly why." The logic almost works. Almost. Judge Judy looks toward the man. "When she told you to leave, where were you standing?" He answers quietly. "Near the couch." "And the door?" "Behind her." The room tightens, just a little. The woman laughs, not joyfully, sharply. "That is ridiculous." Judge Judy raises her eyes. "I didn't ask you." The laugh dies mid-breath. For the first time, irritation flickers across the woman's face. She crosses her arms, defensive now. Her confidence remains, but it has shifted, louder, heavier, trying to crush doubt before it grows. Judge Judy leans back. "Confidence," she says evenly, "does not make something true. It just makes it louder." The woman opens her mouth to respond, then stops when Judge Judy lifts a single finger. "We are not finished," Judge Judy says. "Not even close." She glances down at her notes, then back up. "Was anyone else in the house that night?" The woman answers immediately. "No." A fraction of a second passes. The man nods. "No." But Judge Judy's eyes are still on the woman, because she blinked just before answering. And in that blink, something slipped. The pause does not last long, but it lasts long enough. "No," the woman says. Too quickly. Her voice lands first, like she is trying to cover something before it has time to surface. A beat later, the man nods. "No," he echoes. Quieter. Almost apologetic. The answers match, but the timing does not. And in Judge Judy's courtroom, timing tells its own story. She does not react right away. She lets the silence stretch just a little until it begins to press against the walls. Silence is never empty in this room. It gathers weight. It waits for someone to move first. Judge Judy's gaze settles on the woman. "You didn't let him finish," she says calmly. The woman blinks. "I knew the answer." "That wasn't the question," Judge Judy replies. The room stills again. Even the woman seems to sense she has stepped slightly out of alignment. She adjusts her stance, smoothing her jacket like it can smooth the moment. Judge Judy turns back to the man. "You said you were alone," she said. "Did anyone hear what happened?" The man hesitates, not because he wants to lie, but because the truth feels inconvenient. "I don't know," he answers. "The walls are thin." Judge Judy nods. "Were the neighbors home?" "I think so." The woman scoffs. "No one complained, no one called. That should tell you something." Judge Judy does not look at her. "It does," she says. "Just not what you think." She leans forward slightly now, hands folded, voice steady but sharpened by intent. "You both agree there was shouting, you both agree there was a physical altercation. Yet no one heard anything. No knocks, no calls, no witnesses." She pauses. That means one of two things, she continues. Either nothing happened the way you say it did, or someone didn't want anyone else involved. The words hang. The woman shifts again, crossing and uncrossing her arms. The man stares straight ahead, jaw tight. Judge Judy turns her attention to the bench beside her. "Bailiff," she says, "hand me the incident report." The paper moves through the room like a quiet messenger of doom. When it reaches Judge Judy's desk, she does not open it immediately. She lets both parties see it first. Lets them imagine what it contains. The woman's confidence tightens. Not gone, but braced. Judge Judy flips the folder open. The sound of paper rustling is louder than it should be. "This report was filed hours after the incident," Judge Judy says. "Not minutes, not immediately." She looks up at the man. "Why?" He swallows. His voice lowers. "I needed time." "For what?" "To decide if it was worth it." The woman laughs, a short, brittle sound. "That's ridiculous." Judge Judy lifts her eyes. "What's ridiculous," she says evenly, "is pretending delay equals deception." She looks back down at the report, reading silently now. Her expression does not change, which in this courtroom is never a good sign. "There's something interesting here," she says at last. Both parties lean forward instinctively. Judge Judy taps one line with her pen. "The responding officer notes an inconsistency," she says, "about the location of the bat." The woman's smile vanishes completely. The man exhales, slow, unsteady. Judge Judy closes the folder halfway, not revealing more. "We're going to talk about that," she says. Then she looks up, eyes sharp, voice calm. "But first," she adds, "I want to know who locked the door, and why that detail keeps changing shape." The silence returns. This time, it feels intentional. The folder opens with a sound too soft to matter, until it does. Judge Judy does not rush. She reads in silence first, eyes moving steadily down the page, absorbing details the way a surgeon studies an X-ray. The courtroom waits. Even the woman seems to sense that whatever confidence she walked in with is no longer protecting her. "According to the responding officer," Judge Judy says at last, "the baseball bat was found leaning against the wall, not near the door." The words land quietly, but they do not stay quiet. The man's shoulders tense. He does not look up. The woman frowns. "That's wrong." Judge Judy lifts her eyes. "Is it?" "She grabbed it when I tried to leave," the woman insists. "I already said that." Judge Judy turns the folder slightly, angling it just enough for emphasis, not for visibility. "The officer noted that the bat showed no signs of being moved recently," she says. "No dust disturbance near the base, no scuff marks consistent with a hurried grab." A murmur ripples through the gallery. Judge Judy continues, voice steady. "He also noted that the bat was positioned upright, balanced, as if placed there deliberately." The woman's mouth opens, then closes. The man swallows hard. Judge Judy looks at him now. "You said the bat was already out," she says. "Waiting." He nods barely. "And you," Judge Judy says, turning to the woman, "said you retrieved it in fear." "Yes," the woman snaps, "because I was scared." Judge Judy holds her gaze. "Fear makes people sloppy," she says. "Fear doesn't line things up neatly." The room tightens. The woman shifts her stance, weight rocking slightly on her heels. Her arms uncross, then fold again, a defensive reflex she doesn't seem to notice. Judge Judy flips one more page. "There's more," she says. The man closes his eyes. "The officer also documented that the front door was locked from the inside," Judge Judy continues. "With a deadbolt. No signs of forced entry, no damage." She pauses. "And the key," she adds, "was found on the kitchen counter." The silence that follows is heavy, thick. It presses down on everyone equally, except Judge Judy. She looks up slowly. "Explain to me," she says calmly, How someone who wanted another person to leave locked the only exit and set the key down. The woman shakes her head. That's not what happened. Judge Judy does not argue. Then help me understand, she says. Because right now the physical evidence doesn't match your story. The woman's voice rises. He's lying. Judge Judy raises a hand. The sound stops immediately. No, she says evenly. Someone is lying, and this court is going to figure out who. She looks back at the man. You waited hours to call the police, she says. Why? His voice is quiet. Because I knew it would sound wrong. Judge Judy nods slowly. Yes, she says. It does. She closes the folder fully now, final, definitive. But what sounds wrong, she continues, isn't always what is. Judge Judy leans forward, eyes sharp, voice calm, the kind of calm that signals something irreversible has just begun. This bat wasn't grabbed in panic, she says. It was placed. She turns her gaze to the woman. And that, she adds, is the first crack in your story. The woman's confidence does not shatter. But it fractures, and everyone in the room can hear it. The question hangs longer than comfort allows. Judge Judy does not repeat it. She never does when she knows it landed. Who locked the door? The woman exhales sharply, arms crossing again as if her body can barricade the truth. He did, she says. He was trying to control the situation. The man's head snaps up. That's not... Judge Judy lifts a hand. The interruption dies instantly. You will both answer, she says calmly, but not at the same time. She turns to the man first. Did you lock the door? No, he says. The word is firm, clearer than any he's spoken so far. I wanted to leave. Judge Judy nods once, then pivots her gaze back to the woman. You, she says, claim you wanted him to leave. Yes, the woman replies quickly, too quickly again. Then explain, Judge Judy says, why the only exit was secured from the inside. The woman's jaw tightens. I don't remember locking it. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. You don't remember. Or you don't want to. The woman scoffs. This is ridiculous. You're twisting things. No, Judge Judy replies evenly. I'm untangling them. She gestures subtly with her pen. Let's reconstruct the room. You were near the door. The bat was placed against the wall. The key was on the counter. Judge Judy pauses after each detail, letting the picture assemble itself in the air. That is not chaos, she continues. That is order. The word lands hard. The woman shifts her stance, weight rocking back, then forward again. Her confidence hasn't vanished, but it's louder now, more frantic, trying to drown out the structure Judge Judy has imposed. He was intimidating me, she insists. You didn't see how he was acting. Judge Judy's eyes narrow slightly. Intimidation does not require preparation, she says. Control does. The man's hands tremble now, resting at his sides. Not from fear of her, but from the exposure of something he has carried alone. Judge Judy turns to him. You waited hours to call the police, she says again, slower this time. That works against you. You understand that? Yes, he answers. I do. Then tell me why. He hesitates, then finally says it. Because I knew it would sound like I was lying, he says quietly. Because men aren't supposed to be afraid. Because I thought no one would believe me. The room stills. Even the woman stops talking. Judge Judy watches him closely now. The bruises matter less than this admission. Fear has a different texture than deception. It doesn't perform. It shrinks. The woman breaks the silence sharply. That's manipulation. Judge Judy does not look at her. No, she says. That's hesitation born from consequence. She finally turns back, eyes sharp. You talk a lot when you feel challenged, Judge Judy says. You interrupt, you correct, you explain. She pauses. But control, she continues, starts slipping when explanations pile up. The woman opens her mouth to respond, then freezes when Judge Judy raises a single finger. "I am not finished," Judge Judy says. She glances down at the file once more. "Now," she adds, voice calm but cutting, "let's talk about why it took hours before anyone called the police, and why that delay terrifies you more than it helps." The woman's confidence wavers, just for a second. And in that second, something important loosens. The room does not rush him. It waits. The man swallows, his throat moving like it has forgotten how to work under pressure. When he finally speaks, his voice is quieter than before, not weaker, just stripped of performance. "I was afraid," he says. The word lands awkwardly, like it does not belong in a courtroom. Fear is rarely admitted here. It is usually disguised as anger, confidence, or silence. He offers none of those. Judge Judy does not interrupt. She lets the moment breathe. "Afraid of what?" she asks. He hesitates, then answers honestly. "Of how it would sound, of what people would think, of standing here and having to explain why I didn't fight back." The woman scoffs, sharp and immediate. "That's convenient." Judge Judy's eyes lift, but her voice stays calm. "You will wait," the man continues, words coming slower now, like he is choosing each one carefully. He says he sat in his car for a long time after leaving. That his arm hurt, but not as much as the thought of explaining it. That he kept replaying the night, wondering which detail would make people decide it was his fault. Judge Judy leans back slightly, not disengaged, attentive. "You understand," she says, "that delay makes people suspicious." "Yes," he replies. "That's why I almost didn't come." The admission tightens the room. Across from him, the woman shifts, arms uncrossing now, hands flexing as if she is trying to regain momentum. "This is emotional manipulation," she snaps. "He's trying to make himself look helpless." Judge Judy turns to her slowly. "Fear often looks like guilt to people who have never been afraid," she says evenly. The woman opens her mouth, then closes it. Her eyes dart, searching for footing. Judge Judy continues, voice steady. "Guilt over-explains, fear minimizes, fear hesitates, fear worries about how it will be perceived rather than how it will win." She turns back to the man. "When you sat in that car," she asks, "what finally made you call the police?" He exhales. "I realized if I didn't, it would happen again. Maybe not to me, but to someone." The woman laughs, brittle. "Oh, come on." Judge Judy's gaze snaps to her. Not loud, not angry, just final. "That laugh," she says, "is not confidence, it's deflection." The room stills. Even the air seems to pull back. Judge Judy looks down at the file again, then up at both of them. "People who are lying fear facts," she says. "People who are afraid fear being judged." She pauses. "Those are not the same thing." The man's shoulders drop slightly, as if something unseen has loosened its grip. Judge Judy taps the desk once. "We are going to talk next about evidence, not stories." She looks directly at the woman. "And whether there is anything recorded from that night that you forgot to mention." The woman stiffens, her jaw sets. "No," she says too quickly. "There's nothing." Judge Judy does not react. She simply turns her gaze back to the man. "Is that true?" she asks. He hesitates, then nods once, and reaches for his pocket. If fear can make an innocent person hesitate, how often do we mistake that hesitation for guilt? The phone looks harmless in his hand. Black screen, cracked corner, ordinary, but the way the woman's posture changes tells the room everything it needs to know. Judge Judy does not rush him. She watches the device like it might move on its own. The man steps forward slowly, as if each footfall carries weight he did not plan to share today. "I didn't record it on purpose," he says. "I was trying to call my brother. I hit video by accident." The woman's head snaps toward him. "That's not true!" Judge Judy lifts her hand. The interruption never makes it past her fingers. "You will not speak," she says calmly. "Not yet." The man sets the phone on the desk. It makes a soft click against the wood, insignificant, except for how loudly it echoes in the silence. His hands pull back immediately, like he has just set something dangerous down. Judge Judy leans forward. "You understand," she says, "that if this video exists, it matters." He nods. "I know. Did you alter it?" "No." "Did you send it to anyone?" "No." "Why not?" He hesitates. "Because I didn't want this to be about embarrassment. I wanted it to stop." The woman laughs sharply. "You wanted attention." Judge Judy's eyes lit, cold now. "No," she says. "He wanted proof." She turns the phone so the screen faces her, not the audience. She presses play herself. Control matters. The video starts abruptly, shaky, dark. The sound is uneven, breathing, movement, muffled words. The camera captures only fragments, the edge of a couch, a flash of a raised arm, the bat leaning upright near the window. No one speaks. Then the audio sharpens. "Don't make me do this," the woman's voice says. The man's shoulders stiffen. "Open the door," he replies. "Please." There is a pause, a heavy one. "You're not leaving," she says. The room tightens. Judge Judy does not look up. She watches the screen with surgical focus. The bat comes into frame, already upright, already in her hand. The woman's face drains of color. "That's out of context," she blurts. Judge Judy presses pause without looking at her. "Context," she says calmly, "is what we're watching." She rewinds 10 seconds, plays it again. This time, the threat is unmistakable. "I swear," the woman's voice says, "I'll hit you if you don't sit down." The man's head lowers. He exhales slowly, like he has been holding that breath for years. Judge Judy lets the video play just long enough for the truth to settle, then stops it. The silence that follows is absolute. The woman shakes her head, eyes darting, words scrambling to catch up. "He provoked me. You didn't see before that." Judge Judy finally looks at her. "I saw enough," she says. The phone remains on the desk between them, small, unassuming, devastating. Judge Judy folds her hands. "This," she says quietly, "is not self-defense." The woman's confidence collapses inward, fast and uneven. Her mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Judge Judy leans back slightly. "And we are not done," she adds. "Not even close." She looks at the paused frame one last time. "Because what you meant to hide," she says, "is exactly what the truth needed." Judge Judy does not speak right away. She rewinds the video, 10 seconds, and plays it again. Not for the courtroom. For herself. Control, once claimed, is never surrendered easily. The woman shakes her head, already talking, already scrambling. "That's not how it started. You didn't see what he said before that." Judge Judy raises a hand. The sound dies instantly. "What matters," Judge Judy says evenly, "is not what happened before the threat. It's what happened during it." She taps the screen with her pen. "Right here," she continues, "you are not reacting, you are directing." The words land like a weight shifting sides. The man exhales slowly. Not relief, recognition. For the first time, the story is no longer his burden to carry alone. Judge Judy turns slightly in her chair, addressing the room now, not just the parties. "In self-defense," she says, "there is panic, there is urgency, there is escape." She turns back to the woman. "What I see here," she continues, "is control. A locked door, a warning, a weapon already in hand." The woman's voice rises. "You don't know what it's like to feel trapped." Judge Judy's eyes lift, sharp, focused. "No," she says, "but I know what it looks like when someone else is." Silence follows, the kind that signals a shift no one can reverse. Judge Judy rewinds again, this time stopping earlier. Before the threat, before the raised voice. She plays the audio. The bat is already visible, upright, placed. Judge Judy pauses the frame. "This," she says, is where the power changes hands. She looks directly at the woman. You weren't responding, she says. You were deciding. The woman's confidence collapses in real time. Her shoulders drop, her mouth opens, then closes. Her eyes flick toward the man, not angry now, calculating. Judge Judy notices. You see, Judge Judy continues, most people think power comes from volume, from certainty, from insisting you are right. She leans forward. But real power, she says, comes from preparation. The courtroom absorbs that. The woman's voice softens suddenly, a shift too smooth to trust. I was scared. I didn't mean it. Judge Judy doesn't react immediately. When she does, her tone is colder, not cruel, just clear. Intent, she says, is not measured by how sorry you feel afterward. She taps the desk once. It's measured by what you were willing to do in the moment. The man straightens slightly, not triumphant, just steadier. Judge Judy turns to him. When she said you weren't leaving, Judge Judy asks, did you believe her? Yes, he answers. No hesitation. I did. Judge Judy nods. That, she says, is why this case just changed. The woman stiffens. Judge Judy folds her hands, posture composed, voice precise. This is no longer a dispute about who swung first, she says. This is about who held the power and how they used it. She looks directly at the woman. And the video, she adds, tells me everything your words tried to hide. The room feels different now. Smaller. Quieter. Judge Judy leans back. We will continue, she says calmly. But everyone knows. The balance has already flipped. The video is over, but the room does not move. No coughs, no whispers. Even the fluorescent lights seem to hum more softly, as if aware they have witnessed something irreversible. Judge Judy lets the stillness settle. She knows this moment. This is where stories lose their footing. The woman tries to speak first. She always has. That clip doesn't show everything, she says quickly, words stacking on top of each other. You didn't see what he did before. He was provoking me. Anyone would have snapped. Judge Judy does not look at her. Instead, she turns the phone slightly on the desk, aligning it square with her notes, as if the device itself deserves order now. What you're asking me to believe, Judge Judy says evenly, is that context erases control. She finally lifts her eyes. It does not. The woman shifts her weight, glancing briefly toward the audience, searching for allies that no longer exist. Faces that once looked curious now look guarded. Suspicion has quietly changed direction. Judge Judy gestures toward the paused frame on the screen. You didn't react, she continues. You instructed. You didn't escape. You contained. The woman scoffs, but the sound is thinner now. That's your interpretation. Judge Judy nods. It's also the evidence's. For the first time, the man speaks without looking down. When she said I wasn't leaving, he says, voice steady. I believed her. The sentence lands harder than any accusation, not because it is loud, but because it is complete. No apology. No hedging. Judge Judy turns to him. Why? Because the door was locked, he answers. Because the bat was already there, and because she sounded calm. The word calm ripples through the room. The woman's mouth opens, closes. She tries again. I was trying to keep things from getting worse. Judge Judy tilts her head. By escalating them? Silence answers. Judge Judy continues, voice precise. People often confuse emotion with chaos, but the most dangerous moments, she says, are the controlled ones. She looks down at the video again, then back up. When someone is afraid, she adds, they look for exits. When someone is in control, they remove them. The woman's shoulders sink just slightly. It is the first visible collapse. Not dramatic, not tearful, structural. Judge Judy turns a page in her notes. I also notice, she says, that after the threat, you didn't swing immediately. The woman stiffens. You waited, Judge Judy continues. You wanted compliance. The room exhales collectively. The power has shifted, and everyone feels it. The woman is no longer arguing from authority. She is reacting to exposure. Judge Judy leans back. This court has seen fear, she says, and this court has seen guilt. She looks directly at the woman. What I see now, she concludes, is neither denial nor defense. She pauses. It's strategy that failed. The woman drops her gaze for the first time. Judge Judy folds her hands. We're going to keep going, she says calmly, because now we're not deciding what happened. She lets the silence sharpen. We're deciding why. When the room turns like this, who do you trust more? The person still talking, or the one who finally stops? She inhales as if preparing for another speech, but the room no longer belongs to her. I already explained myself, the woman says, forcing steadiness into her voice. You're twisting things to make me look like some kind of monster. Judge Judy does not respond immediately. She studies the woman the way one studies a crack in glass, not to admire it but to understand where it will spread. You've explained a great deal, Judge Judy says at last. What you haven't done is remain consistent. The woman's jaw tightens. I don't see how. Judge Judy raises a finger. The interruption stops before it begins. You testified earlier, Judge Judy continues, that you grabbed the bat in fear, that it was a reaction. She flips a page in her notes, but the video shows it already in your hand, and the police report shows it was placed upright before the argument reached its peak. The woman shifts, crossing her arms again. Defensive, automatic. That doesn't mean anything, she says. I was emotional. People forget details. Judge Judy tilts her head. Forgetting is random, she says. Your changes are convenient. The word lands hard. The woman scoffs. So now I'm being punished for not remembering perfectly? No, Judge Judy replies calmly. You're being questioned for remembering selectively. The man closes his eyes briefly. He does not speak. He does not need to anymore. Judge Judy leans forward slightly. You also stated, she continues, that you wanted him to leave. Yes, the woman snaps. And yet, Judge Judy says, you locked the door, you kept the key, you issued a warning. The woman's voice rises. Because he wouldn't listen. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens. Because you didn't want him to leave, she corrects. The woman freezes. For the first time, there is no immediate rebuttal, no interruption, no laugh. Her mask, confidence, certainty, control, slips just enough for something raw to show through. Frustration, not fear, not remorse, resentment. You don't know what I've put up with, the woman says finally, voice lower now. You didn't live with him. Judge Judy nods once. That may be true. She pauses. But I know this, she adds. People who act in self-defense want distance. People who act in control want submission. The room tightens again. The woman shakes her head, eyes darting. This isn't fair. Judge Judy's tone does not change. Fairness isn't about comfort. She looks directly at the woman. This court isn't here to validate your feelings. It's here to measure your actions. The woman's breathing quickens. She opens her mouth, then closes it. Words are no longer lining up the way they used to. Judge Judy glances down at the file one more time. You are not on trial for being angry, she says. You're here because anger turned into planning. That lands differently. The woman's shoulders drop slightly. Her hands unclench. The performance has nowhere left to go. Judge Judy leans back. This isn't about that night anymore, she says quietly. The words settle over the courtroom like a shadow. The woman looks up, eyes flashing with something close to panic. What do you mean? She asks. Judge Judy meets her gaze, calm, steady, immovable. I mean, she says, we are about to talk about patterns. And just like that, the mask is gone. Judge Judy does not rush the moment. She lets the word patterns sit where it can do the most damage. The woman's confidence is gone now. What remains is tension. Tight shoulders, shallow breaths, eyes darting like they are searching for an exit that no longer exists. Patterns? The woman repeats. You're making this bigger than it is. Judge Judy leans back slightly, folding her hands. Calm, controlled, dangerous. No, she says. I'm making it accurate. She looks down at the file, then back up. This court doesn't decide cases in isolation. We decide them in context. The woman shifts. This was a one-time argument. Judge Judy tilts her head. Was it? Silence answers first. Then the man speaks, not loudly, not dramatically, just honestly. No, he says. The word lands like a fracture finally splitting open. Judge Judy turns to him. How long? She asks. He hesitates, eyes fixed on a point just past the desk. Years, he says quietly. Not like this. Not with a bat. But the control, the threats, the locking me in rooms, taking my phone, telling me no one would believe me. The courtroom feels smaller now, heavier. The woman shakes her head immediately. That's not true. Judge Judy raises a hand. But this time, she doesn't silence the woman. Instead, she looks at her. You can respond, Judge Judy says. Carefully. The woman opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. She swallows. Tries again. I was angry sometimes, she says. But that doesn't mean that you meant harm, Judge Judy finishes. The woman nods, relieved. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. No, she says. It means you normalized it. The word normalized cuts deeper than accusation. Judge Judy continues, voice steady. People don't start with bats, they start with words, with restrictions, with control disguised as concern. The man's hands tremble slightly now, not from fear, but release. I stayed quiet, he says, because every time I tried to leave, it got worse. The woman's voice cracks, not with sadness, but frustration. You're painting me like a villain. Judge Judy meets her gaze. No, she says. I'm describing behavior. She pauses. And behavior, she adds, leaves patterns. The woman's eyes glisten, but no tears fall. She looks smaller now, not defeated, exposed. Judge Judy leans forward, voice low but unmistakably firm. This case was presented as an isolated incident, she says, a moment of fear, a reaction. She gestures subtly toward the phone, the report, the man's bruises. What I see instead, she continues, is escalation. The room is utterly silent. Judge Judy straightens. This court does not ignore patterns, she says clearly. Because patterns tell us who someone becomes when no one is watching. The woman drops her gaze, her shoulders slump, not in remorse, but in recognition. Judge Judy closes the file. The sound is final. And in that sound, the entire case changes meaning. The silence after the file closes feels different, not sharp, not suspenseful, heavy. The woman does not cry. That surprises everyone. There is no collapse into tears, no dramatic apology, no plea for understanding. Instead, she stands very still, like someone who has finally realized the ground beneath them is no longer solid. Judge Judy studies her quietly. This is the moment after exposure, when performance dies and only reality remains. You look surprised, Judge Judy says calmly. The woman lifts her head, eyes dull now. I didn't think it would go this far. Judge Judy nods once. That's usually the problem. The man exhales, long and uneven, as if his body is finally catching up to everything his mind has carried. He does not look triumphant. He looks exhausted. Relief and grief often arrive together. Judge Judy turns to him. You didn't come here to punish her, she says. No, he answers immediately. I came here to stop it. The simplicity of the answer lands hard. It reframes everything. This was never about revenge. It was about interruption. Across the room, the woman's shoulders sag slightly, not in remorse, in realization. The weight of her actions has finally found somewhere to rest. Judge Judy leans back in her chair, voice steady, reflective now. Abuse does not always look like rage, she says. Sometimes it looks like routine. Sometimes it looks like control that's gone unchallenged for too long. The woman swallows. Her voice is quieter than it has been all day. I didn't think I was hurting him. Judge Judy meets her eyes. Intent does not erase impact. The room absorbs that truth in silence. The man wipes his palms against his pants, grounding himself. I started believing it was normal, he says, that maybe I was just difficult. Judge Judy nods slowly. That's how patterns survive, she says. They convince people they deserve them. The woman finally looks away, not because she cannot handle the stare, but because she recognizes herself in the description, and recognition is far more painful than accusation. Judge Judy gathers the papers neatly, aligning them with care. Order matters now. This court cannot undo what happened, she says, but it can name it, and naming something is often the first step toward ending it. The woman shifts, almost shrinking within herself. Not broken, confronted. Judge Judy's tone firms slightly. We are past explanations, she says. We are past excuses. She pauses, letting the gravity settle. We are now at consequence. The word echoes quietly through the room. Judge Judy looks down at her notes one final time, then up again. I'm prepared to rule, she says. The man straightens instinctively. The woman closes her eyes for a brief second, not in fear, but in acceptance. The courtroom holds its breath, because after the fall comes judgment. The gavel does not fall right away. Judge Judy rarely rushes the moment when truth has already done most of the work. She sits still, hands folded, eyes resting on the woman across from her. Not accusatory, not cold, measured. The kind of look that strips away any last illusion that this is a performance. This is a civil court, Judge Judy begins calmly. I do not decide guilt or innocence in the criminal sense. I decide responsibility. She lets the words settle. Responsibility, she repeats, is what remains when excuses run out. The woman's chin lifts slightly, a reflex of old habits. But there is no fire behind it now. Just tension, waiting. Judge Judy turns to the man. You came here asking for damages, she says. Medical expenses, lost wages, compensation for pain. He nods. Yes. Judge Judy looks back to the woman. And you came here claiming self-defense? Yes, the woman replies, quieter now. Judge Judy inhales slowly. The evidence does not support that, she says plainly. The video does not support that. The physical setup does not support that. And your own testimony, taken as a whole, does not support that. There is no dramatic emphasis, no raised voice. The weight comes from how little she needs to say. You threatened, Judge Judy continues. You restricted movement. You introduced a weapon into a situation that did not require one. The woman opens her mouth, then stops herself. For the first time, restraint replaces reaction. Judge Judy nods slightly, acknowledging the restraint, then continues. This court finds that your actions caused harm, she says. Not just physical harm, but emotional distress that is both credible and supported. The man's shoulders sag just a little. Relief, again. Quiet. Earned. I am awarding the plaintiff the full amount of his claim, Judge Judy says. Medical costs, lost income, and additional damages for emotional distress. The words land without spectacle. No gasp, no murmurs, just acceptance. The woman blinks, absorbing it. Her face tightens, but she does not protest. The fight is gone. Judge Judy is not finished. Given the nature of what I've heard, she adds, this matter will be referred for further review. The woman stiffens. This court does not ignore patterns, Judge Judy says again, and it does not minimize behavior simply because it occurred behind closed doors. She pauses, then softens her tone, not her message. This ruling is not punishment, she says. It is accountability. Judge Judy turns to the man one last time. You did the right thing by speaking up, she says. Not loudly, not perfectly, but honestly. He nods, eyes glassy, unable to speak. Judge Judy then looks back at the woman. And you, she says, need to understand something very clearly. The room leans in unconsciously. Power does not come from control, Judge Judy says. It comes from restraint, and you lost yours. She picks up the gavel. This court is adjourned, she says calmly. The gavel strikes once, not loud, not dramatic, but final. The gavel has already fallen, but no one leaves. The woman stands frozen, eyes fixed on the desk as if the wood grain might offer a way back to 5 minutes ago. The man remains where he is, hands resting at his sides, breathing slow and deliberate. Relief has settled, but it has not erased the weight of what was said. Judge Judy looks at both of them, not as adversaries now, but as people standing at the edge of consequence. Sit, she says quietly. They do. This is not procedure. This is intention. Judge Judy folds her hands, posture composed, voice steady. There are moments, she begins, when a ruling is not the most important thing that happens in this room. No one interrupts. Even the bailiff seems to lean in. Today, she continues, truth was loud enough on its own. What remains is understanding. She turns first to the woman. You believed control kept you safe, Judge Judy says. That if you stayed one step ahead, louder, firmer, more certain, you wouldn't lose. The woman swallows. Her eyes glisten, but she does not cry. That belief, Judge Judy continues, cost you something today. And if you don't examine it, it will cost you more tomorrow. The woman nods once, barely. Judge Judy then turns to the man. You doubted yourself, she says. You questioned your own instincts. You waited because you thought fear disqualified you from being believed. The man's jaw tightens. It does not, Judge Judy says firmly. Fear is not weakness. Silence is not consent. And hesitation is not guilt. Those words seem to settle into him, not like comfort, but like permission to finally exhale. Judge Judy leans back slightly. Justice, she says, is not always about punishment. Sometimes it's about naming something clearly enough that it can no longer hide. She pauses. What happened here did not start with a bat, she adds. It started with control being mistaken for care. The courtroom is still again, but this silence feels different. Lighter, clean. Judge Judy straightens. You will both leave this room changed, she says. One of you already is. The other still has a choice. She stands. That choice, she finishes, will determine whether today ends this story or merely interrupts it. The man rises slowly, steadier now. The woman remains seated a moment longer, staring at the desk where her certainty once lived. Judge Judy steps down from the bench. The words linger. They will stay. Before the final moment, ask yourself, is accountability about punishment or about finally seeing the truth without excuses? The courtroom empties slowly, not because people are confused, but because they are processing. The woman leaves first. Her steps are quieter now, measured, stripped of the confidence that once filled the room. She does not look back. There is nothing left behind her worth defending. Whatever power she believed she held stayed at the bench, dismantled, documented, named. The door closes behind her without ceremony. The man remains standing for a moment longer. He looks at the empty chair where she sat, then at the desk where the phone once lay. His arm still aches. The bruises have not vanished, but something else has. Fear. He exhales, deep, steady, the kind of breath people take when they realize they are no longer bracing for impact. Judge Judy gathers her papers with deliberate care. She does not rush. She never does after cases like this. Her expression is composed, but her eyes carry the weight of recognition. She has seen this story before, not once, not twice, and she knows how rare it is for it to end with truth spoken out loud. The man pauses at the doorway. For a moment, it seems like he might say something. Thank you. Sorry, anything. He doesn't. He nods instead. Judge Judy meets the gesture with a small, almost imperceptible nod of her own. Respect does not require words. When he leaves, the courtroom feels larger, emptier, as if it has released something it no longer needs to hold. Judge Judy sits back in her chair. The gavel rests untouched. The silence now is not tense. It is settled. Cases like this do not end with celebration. They end with clarity. Justice did not shout today. It did not humiliate. It did not perform. It waited. It listened. And when the noise collapsed under its own weight, it spoke once, clearly enough to be heard forever. Because in the end, arrogance always believes it will be louder than truth. But truth does not compete. It waits, and when everything else stops talking, silence wins.